Okay, I think I'm in trouble, people. Oh, yeah. I don't know. My gut said didn't do it. Don't do it. My gut said don't do it. Just deal with what you got. Be happy that you can see what you can see. Because since I've done this little fucking eye thing, people, you have to remember it wasn't just the cataract that was changed. Although the cataract lens is what's making everything blurry. Yep. I mean, it was bad enough that the octave nerves died because I couldn't get a referral to see an eye specialist for over 2 fucking years. And because I had glaucoma already for 20 years and a bit, that last 2 years of going without eye drops killed off my octave nerves. So, within a week, okay, at some point within a week, living in the dark in this fucking house, basically, I go outside with Tisha to go to the bank and I can't see shit because I'm in one big great fog. And then I find out that, oh, well, it's just late-stage glaucoma. Nothing we can do about that. No. You're just going to have to learn to live with the fog for the rest of your life. Okay. I've been dealing with that shit now for over a year. And it's hard, people. Okay? It's not easy. And, but at least with this eye, like when I'm walking around the house and stuff, doing whatever, I never wore glasses. The only time I tried to wear glasses, dollar store glasses at that, were when I was like reading, or I had to do something on the computer where I couldn't see it without having a pair of glasses on, depending on the background. If it's a black background with white fonts, I could read those things basically without glasses on. If it's a white background with dark gray to black font, obviously a black font, the larger the font on a white computer screen, I could see better. But they don't even use a black font. Some of these, like, web pages, they use more of a, it's a cross between a gray and a black. It's slightly lighter than a black. And depending on the font style, right, you know, I'd have to wear glasses, right? Or if I'm working, get out of here, you fucking cat! These cats are driving me nuts, man. If I'm converting over a video or something like that, then yeah, I have to wear those one pair of glasses with the one lens. And that one I don't see nothing. There's no lens there, right? That one I could use on the computer. But I never wore that one running around the house looking at things. I didn't have to wear freaking glasses, dollar store glasses, just to be doing basic shit. No, everything's all fucking blurry. I put on a pair of glasses, a different pair now, dollar store glasses, to look at the computer, because the other ones don't work. Because whatever lens that they put in my eyes, people, changed my vision. And I'm like, okay, I can see what these buggers have done. They made the lenses where you have to wear dollar store glasses or some kind of glasses just for walking around doing whatever. Where before, I could walk around, yeah, sure, things were cloudy and gray and colors would merge together, like this, the white, the silver, the translucent would all merge together, and I couldn't, you know, right, depending, and because color is either, you can't see color anymore, or it's very dull. Like if it's a bright red, maybe I can see the red, but it wouldn't be bright, that's for sure, because it'd be all clouded over. But I could finally see what I was looking at. Not anymore, people. Like, I'm so mad, and I'm like, okay, so what? Now I'm going to have to run around with freaking dollar store glasses on just to be doing just basic stupid shit around the house, where if I would have just left it alone, at least things would be more clear. Like, where I'm sitting here from where the camera is, if I was in my War Room 3, my office, quote unquote, right? You know, without glasses on, I could read some of the titles on the books, you know, certain things I could see, no problem, even though it was cloudy and I couldn't see a fucking color, but it wasn't blurred, so therefore I knew I could see better, right? Now I'm looking at the same shit, and it's all freaking blurry. Plus, light hurts my eyes, so now I'm running around practically in the dark with no lights on. I turned them on in here for now because, you know, I'm trying to keep myself busy, people. I've been sleeping as much as I can. I can't sleep every day, all day long, because I have a lot of fucking responsibilities here. So, you know, I got caught up a little bit of laundry, right? You know, I did some herbs that were drying, and, you know, I freaking took a rug out from my hall because Wonder Cat's been spraying, and, you know, I swept, and, you know, I cleaned out the fridge a little bit, you know, nothing too major, nothing too strenuous, you know, that, right? You know, I'm hang drying clothes to put moisture in the air because the house is so dry, and, you know, just whatever, right? Getting ready for the kids, you know, for the kids to come home, right? So they can make more mess, right? They don't mean to, but whatever, that's just a part of having kids, you know? I'm like, I can't even open my fucking front door without going like this because, you know, I'm looking out my window and I get this sharp pain going into my eye. I didn't even turn on the computer today. Hell no. You know, I don't even know how I'm going to convert this. I don't even know if this thing is freaking recording with this camera. But in the event that it is, don't ask me how I'm going to take it onto the computer and try and, you know, put it on the computer first of all, and then convert the video, and then have to go onto YouTube, right? And then try and upload, like, fuck, like, no way. No way. I flick what is that called? A lighter to light my smoke? Hell, I got the fucking lighter way over here and the smoke like this, and I'm like this. And I'm trying to even avoid looking at the fucking flame because it hurts the brightness. You know? Tisha phoned the pharmacy yesterday because I forgot to tell my kids what the pharmacy did. Anyway, I told Tisha yesterday that the pharmacy mixed up the labels on these drops. Okay? She goes, what? I said, yeah. Apparently the doctor phoned the pharmacy to, you know, to ask them what the hell was going on. Anyway, Tisha hung up the phone, phoned the pharmacy. I guess the pharmacy tried to phone me, but my son came up, so I was dealing with my son. I didn't expect a phone call right back from Tisha or anybody for that matter. So I missed that phone call, so I phoned Tisha back. I said, so what's up? She goes, well, didn't the pharmacy phone you? I said, well, I don't know. I heard the phone ringing. I thought that was you. You know, I was talking to Marquette. So what did they say? They confirmed, people. They confirmed that the doctor called them. So the pharmacy fucked up with the medication. Okay? I got 3 drops specifically for surgery. I was supposed to start, and it was drilled into me. Make sure you follow the directions on the eye bottle drops, and you do what you're told, because blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So I read the labels, right? Okay. Anyway, I put on the box what the label said, put the bottle back in. So on Friday, I was supposed to start that box 4 times a day right up until I had surgery for 3 days. And then I got another box, and it said started on Sunday, 4 times a day until surgery, which was going to be Monday. And then I got another box. It said 1 drop starting on Sunday. Okay? All in this eye. And that's what I did. The only mistake that I made was on Sunday, I put the glaucoma drop in this eye right along with 4 drops of this, 4 drops of that, and 1 drop of that. And then the 1 drop of the glaucoma in this eye. Because this shit was starting to stress me out. Okay. And then I go on Monday early in the morning for this. Then I go see the eye doctor on Tuesday. And I take all the drop bottles and the boxes in, and I, like, well, you know, like, what do you, like, just to confirm everything here, you know, so there's no mistakes, no misunderstandings. And then he's looking at these bottles, he's looking at these labels, then now he's peeling off the labels to compare the label to the bottle, and it turns out that 2 bottles were mixed up. So I was probably taking 4 drops of 1 bottle that was meant for Sunday, and whatever I took on was supposed to take on Friday 4 times a day for 3 days, I only took it 1 time on Sunday. And my eye doctor's acting like it's no big deal. And then I was supposed to take 1 bottle for 4 times a day for a week and another bottle for 6 times. And my doctor said, don't worry about that bottle, just take this one now. So he's like constantly changing shit up. Like he's always giving me bottles of this and bottles of that and bottles. And then when the pharmacy mixed the crap up, it's no big deal. Okay. That's why everything's all blurry, right? But I guess I should have thought about that. Whatever, I paid $475 or $450 or something like that for this lens. Because the one that was going to be covered through my, medical plan, quote unquote, has a propensity, okay, whatever, has a tendency or has the potential to start getting all these little white or little yellow spots or something in front of it. I guess it deteriorates after a while. And you're looking through all these, it's like, it's like somebody put a big goober in there, right? And then what, go for another one? I said, no, I don't got time for that. As if I want to go through that again. Once is enough, right? Considering all things said. And I'm not even going just for the cataract. I'm going for this little pipe cleaner going around my iris yet. Okay, and that's why it's so sore, right? Honestly, it's not just the fucking lens here. So I paid, $450, $475 for a lens that's basically reduced me down to dollar store glasses with my just daily, like now. And even then, it doesn't mean anything for me because everything's so fucking dark and cloudy as it is. So what I'm trying to say is my eyesight got worse. Now, it hasn't been quite a week. It's going to take a little while for what? For what? The cloudiness will never go away. The fog will never fucking go away. The dark cloud, right, because, right, there's no octave nerves. That will never go away. Okay? So why add in all this blurriness on top of it now? Okay? And sharp pain as soon as I'm anywhere near a light. Doesn't matter if I open my front door, the light comes in and I get a pain. I open my freaking curtain, I get a pain. I come too close to a light, I get a pain. I'm surprised I can even cope with the light that's been, because I've been running around basically with no lights on. Very minimal. And the kids aren't even home yet. That's what I'm saying. My gut said don't do it, but my head said to do it because, you know, I did it for the kids. Just to save the eye. So I have, what, a little longer to struggle the way I've been struggling, and now it just seems to me like it's just going to get, it's going to be fucking 50 times, 100 times more harder now because of the blurriness. And it's darker, it's more cloudier, is because I don't know what the hell's going on, people. Yeah, if I turn on a light, it just, more glare. Right, like the one in the kitchen, because that's an LED light. Oh my God, that's even worse. That's where you really get the glare. That's like with this light. I'm going to cover my eye, and I'm going to just see this light. All I have to do is turn on a little switch. But I'm going to cover my eye because I know it's going to hurt. Yeah. Where is it? Right here. Oh yeah, see? It starts to hurt even before. Yeah, see? It's throbbing. And I can feel it because everything bouncing back. Fucking bullshit. And I'm like, okay, how long is that going to last for? Oh, well, you may be doing too much. You shouldn't be doing laundry. Well, it doesn't take a lot of energy to do laundry. I don't, you know, I'm grab a few things. I'm hanging them up around the house just over this and over that to put moisture into the air because the house is so dry and, you know, it's hot and, you know, it's like, whatever, man. I don't know, people. I mean, what's the chances of the bottles being mixed up? How do we know that didn't play a role in something here? I'm going to ask this doctor, but he's rough, right? He just comes and he grabs my eye and he opens it like this and he moves his machine in and he's blaring it with a fucking bright light. And, you know, after he did that, you know, now my eye really bugs me. I'm like, whatever. Doctors make me sick. Like, literally sick. Like, sick. Right? Since I've been seeing eye doctors, right? Since whenever, nose is running more, and, you know, I was dizzy, and, you know, and just whatever, right? You know, now fucking medicines are being switched around, and now everything's blurry, and I can't look at anything with any light because I get the sharp pain in my eye, and, you know, and I'm like, oh, and people are saying, oh, calm down, they say it gets better. Yeah, but not everybody had this fucking round thing going around their freaking iris. You know, oh, and that's another thing. The guy that fitted me with this freaking lens, remember that little story? Right? I go in, right? And, you know, he wearing his mask or whatever. I'm not wearing a mask. I didn't even have to wear a mask. I wasn't obligated by that time to wear a mask. And, you know, I'm at this one machine, and he's doing this, and, like, he's, like, fucking, you know, what, 2.5, almost 3 feet away from me between where I am and where he's sitting. You know, he does his little test, and I cough, and then he freaks out, and, you know, he starts accusing me of being diseased because I don't have a mask on, and I'm going to make him sick, and I'm telling him I'm not fucking sick, and as if he's going to get sick sitting over there, right, with me sitting up over here, and then he takes me to another room. He fucking rags on me for 15 fucking minutes, going on about how, you know, he's been doing whatever he's been doing for 30 years, and he hasn't been so healthy in all his life since he's been wearing a mask since this all started. And I'm like, well, that's good for you, but considering that, you know, you've been doing this for 30 years and you've come into contact with all these miscellaneous little viruses along the way, I'm pretty sure your immune system is pretty strong. And he goes like, oh, well, yeah, well, maybe you have a point, but, you know, I've been wearing this for so long, I'm kind of used to it now, and, you know, and then finally he gets on to start taking measurements of my iris, but as I'm sitting down by this one machine here, right, you know, he's telling me that there's still another test that he's got to do, but then he turns around and he says he's not going to do it, that he's going to settle with the one that he's going to do with me right now, and fuck the other one, because whatever he needs to do, he can calculate it all with this what he's doing, right? How do I know he didn't screw up? Seriously. How do I know that he didn't fucking put the wrong size freaking lens in my eye? Seriously. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm back in welcome to my office. I'm going to do a little mental therapy here on myself, people. Like, seriously. Now, I know this is a long way from now, but I'm going to relay to you what my two remaining living children are saying to me. Okay? In part because of what's happening to the province of British Columbia, Canada, and how it's become so unaffordable with the housing market in terms of that corruption, that underground economy that likes to build buildings that sit empty for years on end, basically, as their basements flood out the neighborhood every time a big rain comes by. Right? Tearing up all the trees, you know, disrupting the ground, just killing off the wildlife, just the whole 9 fucking yards that goes on around here. Dead bodies littered over there, dead bodies littered over there, if they're not fucking injured over there or kidnapped over there. But it all depends on the color of your skin in terms of your ethnic heritage, as to who's targeted and who's not. Okay? I'm just saying. So with that said, okay, this is what's happening. We know that I'm going blind. Right? We know that Amari is severely injured in terms of with the brain injury, okay? And that his circumstances are never going to get better. The best we can do is just make him comfortable and happy, and, you know, and have a fulfilling life in terms of joy and love and, you know, a sense of humor and, you know, limited pain as he ages, and just things settle in, and just the whole 9 fucking yards, right? You want to make sure that the caregiver is kind and loving and nurturing and patient and, you know, and just, right? Okay. Well, in a nutshell, I'm hearing 2 different things. We'll start with Tisha first. Tisha is making plans with Alex to buy a house in Alberta, Edmonton, quote unquote, so that they can, one, afford it to even be able to do it. And then they're going to move to Alberta while Alex is looking around for a job to work on the oil rigs right now. They're going to live there for a couple, 2-3 years. And as they live in Edmonton, in this house that they bought, because Alex's dad and his uncle gave Alex a bit of land in Kingston, which is an island somewhere in the Caribbean or someplace out that way, where there's volcanoes, active ones at that. One was like 2 years ago active. And it's just a little island. Right? And they're going to build a house there while they're living in Edmonton, living in a house there that they've purchased, as Alex is maybe going to more than likely work on the oil rigs, even though Alberta itself is in a conflict with the federal government, because the federal government, you know, is trying to cut back on greenhouse gases through shutting down, I don't know, oil rigs or gas exploration or you know, harvesting that gas and running it through the pipeline as the United States shut down the pipeline. And, you know, they want to shut down the whole industry. The federal government kind of wants to shut down the majority of the industry, the gas and oil industry in Alberta, which is its mainstay, right, that runs the economy as a whole. So the premier that just got elected is, you know, she's a real whippersnapper, right? Out to get the federal government to make sure that, you know, Alberta stays sovereign to itself so it has the right to run its own business when it comes to gas and oil, basically. You know, have the right to harvest it, right? To refine it and to whatever, extract it from the ground or whatever they do, right? And then there's, of course, the tar sand, the oil sands, right? You know, that's like go on for years and 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 years. So even though half the province burnt up in the last 2 months in terms of the wildfires that were going on out there, right? But this is where they're going in about a year and a half from now, which is not very long. Okay? And they're only going to live there for a couple, 2-3 years, and then they're going to move to Kingston. No, it's not Kingston. It's I don't know, someplace out there. It's not on Jamaican Islands. It's its own little island. After they build their house there. And of course, Tisha tells me I can go there with the kids. And I said, well, you know, like, they have a hospital, but not one where they do hip surgery and those kind of things, I would think. And Tisha says, well, we can always fly back to Canada if Mari needs surgery and get it done in Canada, or maybe even in the States for that matter. Who knows, right? Well, I live on this little island with these volcanoes. And it's like 2 minutes from a beach, like a water, like a beach, like an ocean. And I said, oh, 3-4 minutes away from the beach? Well, you know, you are aware that there is such a thing as called a tsunami. Like, how do you plan on surviving that one? It's enough that you have to deal with freaking volcanoes maybe blowing their stacks. But, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, people, like, listen, we're on the verge of World War III. Okay? And I don't know, like, if we go into war for Canadian people to think that they're going to be completely insulated from that and it's going to be business as usual, I don't know, people. Yeah, business as usual for the underground economy, for sure, by all means. That will never fucking stop because the government doesn't stop it. The government props it up and encourages it to happen, and they protect the criminals. Okay, that's what my videos have shown you, right? But everything else is going to come crashing down. And I don't think Alberta would be any more insulated than BC, okay, when it comes from province to province. If anything, Alberta is more at risk because the federal government is trying to shut down oil and gas extractions. And, you know, doing whatever they do with that economy. To the point where the premier is trying to rally the people on a nonpartisan basis so that they have that sovereign province to stand up against the federal government from killing their economy, basically. And this is where my daughter, and I'm telling her, like, you've never lived in Alberta. You don't know what it's like. It gets like 40, 45 below out there, if not lower than that sometimes. You have to plug in your freaking vehicle. You know, you're looking at winter 6 months out of the year, at least, pushing on 8 in terms of, you know, it's a cold fall, it's a cold spring, and it's a long winter. You get 2 or 3 months of hot weather, that's it. And even then, I mean, with all these fires and everything, like, they're burning everything down. It's going to be drought soon, right? Like, we haven't even hit summer yet. So, and I'm like, well, I don't want to live in Alberta. I can't stand Alberta. You have to wear long johns. You got to wear wool socks. You got to have these, double mitts and ear muffs and hoods and scarves and puffy jackets. And if the hydro goes out there, people, because of war, or the pipelines get blown up, or whatever, because it's all gas, right? Everything's gas. You want heat, turn on the thermostat, you're getting gas. If something happens and they lose their gas in the middle of the winter time, oh my God, I wouldn't want to be there blind as a bat. Never mind be there being able to see. Okay? That's the first thing. With Amari yet, it's not like Amari can get up and go do something in terms of covering himself up with the blanket, right? Maybe if the world wasn't so unpredictable, I'd feel a little more comfortable about it. But then I lose my son. If I go to Alberta, I'll never see my son again. That will be it. But if I don't go to Alberta and I stay with my son, who wants to, when we leave this place, move, I don't know, out of the interior of the city, further on the outskirts. How far, I don't know, because his girlfriend's parents are selling their house and they're leaving the city. But my son and his girlfriend, they want to have children and they want to be close to her parents so that her parents can help them with their children. And of course my son says he won't abandon me, right? Or Amari, or Andre for that matter, right? And, wherever he goes, he'll take us. It's just, I'll have to get rid of everything, right? Because, there's not going to be no quote-unquote room for it. But I'll be at the mercy of his girlfriend, to which, after this eyesight shit, right? Like, right? I'm at the mercy of my son. I don't even attempt to ask his girlfriend for anything, people. I just don't. And I had another bad dream, like 2-3 days ago. I woke myself up with it by hollering out to Joan Duncan, of all people, John's wife, right? She was sitting at this table she was sitting at the head of the table, right? And then on the sides were a bunch of women. And then John was over there somewhere, but he was basically brain dead because Joan, with her fuckery and how she ruined everybody's life with her fucking bullshit, selfishness, fuckery, basically gave John a lobotomy. And that's what I was telling Joan, and that's what woke me up. Like, yeah, you can sit there and say whatever you want, but at the end of the fucking day, look at John. He's sitting there with a fucking lobotomy because of you. And I woke up. Because, I get stressed out with my son's girlfriend, people, because she's a cold fish. I told him that. I said, you brought home a fucking cold fish, for crying out loud. Why? Because she just wants to be left alone, have the perfect life with my son, basically not share him, unless it's through her approval, right? Like, God forbid if he ever had a female friend. I could never, she can have a male friend, but God forbid if my son ever had a female friend. I could only imagine how that girl would fucking go nuts over it. Right? Because it's like, I don't know, she has no reason to be jealous of me. She has no reason to see me as a threat. Crying out loud, he's my son, right? Quite possibly, she probably sees me as a burden, and even more so now, right? But it's not like I planned to be that burden, or that I even want to be a burden, right? and I come with my own emotional baggage because I have my grandchildren with me. If Shimei wouldn't have been murdered, she'd be sitting here with me saying, don't worry, Mom, I want the books. You don't have to give them away. You don't have to sell them. There is no pressure, Mom. We'll work it out together. I always told you I liked the books and I wanted the books. So when it's time to leave, we'll leave and we'll pick what books we want and we'll just start fresh. And she'd be there with me. And my son could go do what my son wanted to do. And my daughter could go do what my daughter wanted to do. And there'd be no hard feelings, no loss, no nothing. But Shimei's not here because she was murdered. I can't stress it enough, people. And now I'm like, well, I can go live with my son, perhaps. And don't forget that dream that I had where he built 2 rooms. Well, he built 1. And that was, I think, I was thinking that was kind of my room where he was just going to lock me into it and ignore me. And then he was in the process of repairing or building the 2nd room. As I'm looking at him with everything white except that ring around my iris. And I see him next thing standing now. I told him about that when we drove off for the eye surgery. I told him that dream. Right? And he had his back to me with all those men standing in a row, looking off into the horizon like fucking zombies. And I'm like trying to be telepathic with him, telling him like, no, this is serious. Like, you need to snap out of it and like get a handle on fucking reality here. Right? I told him that dream. And like, he can't live out here because it's unaffordable, because of the corruption. Thank you, NDP, the government of British Columbia, Canada, with David Eby as the now premier to this province, to whom was the Attorney General, to which Sonia too, your representative, threw everything that I had to say out of fucking court just so that you could protect criminals. Basically, starting with Eleanor Gilding, who works for the province of British Columbia, Canada, inoculating all your healthcare workers by any means necessary, even if they're suddenly dropping dead. What the fuck does it matter? Because all you have to do is bring in another 100,000 of immigrants to replace those workers. Or those households that you end up flushing out with your corruption just so that you can keep getting ching-ching, ching-ching with these stack and pack little fucking boxes that you want to call a condo, when in fact in another 30 years from now they're going to be the next generation of slums, full of bed bugs, full of cockroaches, full of fucking mice, full of fucking crazy lunatics that are going to be stressed out paying high rent with no money, eating fucking mealyworms and crickets and, those kind of protein products, if they're not being locked in because it's a new fucking lockdown because of whatever, as the Punjabis, basically, and like those minded kind of people, right, sit up in their smart city with their gated community, right, capitalizing off of the poor people. I sit here and I listen to old English history videos on YouTube. Henry VIII, Henry VII, Louis XV, Louis XVI, what it was like in the 1900s, living in Britain, in London, places like that. And, and at the end of the day, when it came to landlords and their tenants, honestly, there is no difference. There really is no difference, because those landlords back in the day, in the 1900, that ran those slums with those poor people, price gouging, rent gouging, capitalizing off of by any means necessary off the poorest of the poor, right? When they weren't throwing them out in the fucking streets or whatever it was that they were doing when they couldn't pay. Those landlords that was collecting that money from those individuals back in those days were flourishing just like they're flourishing today. Okay? Through the corruption. So really, I think, and I watched and I'm listening, and I'm like, well, there's really nothing new, right? Things haven't really changed, you know. It's stapled out there for a while, but it was just an illusion, right? It was just something to make you put down your guard so that you'd become that consumer and then go into debt, because that's all manufactured poverty, right? You know, and now it's time to pay the fucking, what do you call that, Pied Piper. Yeah, that's basically what's happening here, because people are finding that they have to leave this province. The immigrants are moving in, they're getting all the subsidies, they're getting the federal, the provincial, and the municipal fucking subsidies when the local charities aren't helping them, right? They get money to go off and put a down payment on a house at some point through some federal government program just because they're a new immigrant that, you know, deserves a break. Well, people like my family, you know, we're being forced out of the fucking province and broken up even more as a family, basically. Because I'm going to have one living way over there, another one living way over there, as that one's planning to move, you know, 5,000 miles away onto some island, right? Well, the one that needs to really be here is dead, because the government is too fucking interested and too worried and too busy and too quick to cover up murder, so they can keep that cycle going. And then get up on their throne speech with their budget. Oh, well, don't worry. We're just going to fast track these building permits. Yeah, so that we can keep getting a little bit of money. Although we're not going to have a surplus next year. We'll just have enough to pay for the superannuation life insurance policy, the pension plans, you know, the government fucking paycheck. The one that pays all those workers in Fraser Health. The one that pays all those freaking workers in Island Health, where they took Uncle John and basically gave him a lobotomy. A lobotomy. They took him to a hospital where they're known, where they're, I don't want to say famous, but they're known to give the elderly shock therapy as mental therapy for them to forget their past lives so that they can be moved quietly and easily into an old folks home until they're just no longer needed. Kind of like what happened to Uncle John. So between my son's girlfriend, who reminds me of Joan Duncan, overpossessive, very selfish, expected John to choose, would go out of her way to pick a fucking fight just so that John would have to choose, to make her feel like she was loved and important and had, you know, whatever fucking was lacking in her fucking life. It's the same kind of fucking scenario with my son's girlfriend, and I tell him that, but, you know, it goes in one ear and out the other, to where I'm still having fucking nightmares after Joan all these years. Like, seriously, man, she's been dead since, like, what, freaking 2013. She died in December of 2013. She left John an inheritance, and his sister didn't tell him about that inheritance until March, April of 2015. Okay, 14, 15 months after the fact of Joan dying, did she finally tell John that he inherited money from that bitch that basically lobotomized him and the rest of his family. And for what? For what? So what? She left him fucking money. She ruined his life. All she did was get him tortured by the healthcare system while the government fucking cover it up. And why would I want to go live with my son to be around a woman that's so spiteful and vindictive and carries a grudge? I said, she carries a fucking grudge. I don't know why she carries a fucking grudge, but she does. Is she that insecure? I don't know. But she's giving me nightmares still. And now Tisha's telling me she wants to go to live in Alberta and she expects me just to get rid of everything. Same fucking scenario. Get rid of everything and you can come live with us, and then when the time comes, I guess you can come to freaking St. Vincent or wherever they're going. Okay. That's assuming that I even make it that far, people, because dealing with this eye doctor, I've been dealing with this eye doctor since, what? October. About October of 2022. Right? Wasn't it? I don't even remember anymore. And all I've been doing is pumping myself up with a bunch of fucking eye drops, going blinder. And now I feel like, I don't even know what I feel like. I feel injured. I feel like I'm just worse than a pincushion. And because I don't matter in terms of my life is expendable, I'm more valuable dead as a skinwalker than I am alive. So if they do their experiment by mixing up their medication just to see what happens, no big fucking deal. Don't worry about it, you know. It's going to be what it's going to be, because the prospect was always bad for you anyway, because we knew that the cataract wasn't going to make any difference in terms of, like, bringing the octave nerves back where, you know, you could actually see normally, right? So who cares if it's more blurry, because it doesn't really matter, right? Because that's not why we did it. We did it to do that Roto-Rooter shit. You shot me 4 fucking times in here with a freaking laser gun, and it didn't do a damn thing. 45 PSI when he checked it. Okay, so what was the point? Is it going to be the same way this way in another 2 months from now? 3 months from now? I'll go check my eye pressure. Oh, I'll jump back up to 45. What the fuck happened? I guess it didn't work. Should we do it again? No. Now. Right? I don't think so. The only one getting fucking rich off of this is you, not me. Right? And with this mix-up of fucking medications, it's starting to make me think that I'm just some fucking experiment here, you know? One of those research studies. I just didn't know I signed up to it. Yeah. That was too convenient. Why are you mixing up the fucking medication like that? Right? And like I said, the doctor didn't seem too concerned about it, so why stress that I have to take it exactly the way I'm told to take it? Because it was so important. Well, if it was so important, why not tell me why it was not important to do it? Because it didn't happen, so now that it didn't fucking happen, what should I be looking for? Or are they waiting to see? Are they waiting to see what happened? And then, of course, they'll blame me and said I shouldn't have picked up the fucking garbage and took it out to the garbage can because that was too strainful. Yeah, okay. Whatever. So anyway, I don't have to worry about it right just yet. And in another 1.5 years from now, I might not be able to see anything at the rate things are going. Yeah. Which, I don't know. I just don't know, people. I asked God. I'm going to leave it on this. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to try. It hurts my eyes, though. I haven't turned on the computer all day. I've been keeping the lights down low all day. But I asked God. I say, you know, God, what are you trying? What do you like? What do you want me to see that I couldn't see with my eyesight? Because clearly you're prepping me here for something, okay? Because I don't think it's come to full something here yet. You know, there's something that you want me to see or learn, but I can't learn it unless I see it, and the only way I can see it is by not being able to see, if that makes sense. Right? Right? You know, because when you go blind, you tend to draw in on your other senses and you see things differently. Because you have to. You have no choice. You learn to use other parts. But I'm already screwed, though, because I've got the ringing in my ear, you know, that pressure. So, you know, it's not like I can rely on my ears. Right? I'm being haunted by freaking nightmares. This is too many fucking nightmares in a short duration of time. And of course I woke up yelling and I was mad you know, because of what Joan did, right? And she was trying to justify it with all these other women like her, right? My son's girlfriend is like her, over possessive, over controlling, doesn't want to share, wants him to choose, right? Gets vindictive, holds a grudge, right? Thinks she's better than me because she went to university for 7 years. So somehow that makes her better, even though she has never had a kid, never mind 5, right? Didn't walk in my shoes all these years, you know, just shit like that, right? But for whatever reason, she's better, which is, for a young person, I suppose, with self-esteem issues, you kind of have to remind yourself of that. You know, it's not like I want to be a burden, right? It's not like I want to be stuck in a house, but basically the corruption in my community, right along in partnership with my government, made it that way. But they made it that way, though, because then it's easier to pick us off one by one. And the smaller the family gets, it's just a matter of time before it really implodes. Right? So anyway, yeah, hollering at Joan. Look what you did to John. He's sitting there with the lobotomy. I hollered that out, woke myself up. Because I don't want my son to get a lobotomy by an overbearing, I don't know what. And of course my son's trying to be real copacetic around it, right? You know. He told me he didn't know how to be a caregiver because after that surgery I was whacked out for like a whole day, man. Like, he couldn't believe it because I don't ever get sick, people. Right? And I mean, it was completely opposite of anything that he's ever really seen me go through, right? It's like doing my eye drops and, you know, putting the eye patch on for me and whatever, right? And he said, I don't know, gee, Mama, I don't really know how to be a caregiver. I'm like, yeah, well, you grow into it, right? Thing is, his girlfriend doesn't want to be a caregiver. And I told him I don't know how safe I'd feel with that, people. And of course I can't harp on it because it upsets him, right? But this is where she's like Joan Duncan. She makes them choose. And it shouldn't be like that. Nope. And she holds a grudge for moving into my house, turning my son into a green-eyed monster, where after all these years, 12 years later, all of a sudden, half the basement is chucked out. Right? He had 12 years to do something with that shit. No. It never bothered him then, right? And if it did, it's not like he couldn't have fucking started working with me on that. It's not like I didn't ask for people to help me to do shit. But it took her to fucking turn him into that green-eyed monster and start throwing everything out. And in her mind, she thinks it was fine. Because he did it for her. Well, for him first, and then her. She felt like she rescued him from me. That's how she justifies it. Even though he had years to fucking do shit. And I mean, like, living in Alberta, there's no way, I don't think I'd want to go to Alberta, people. I love Tisha, but I've lived in Alberta long enough times to know exactly what Alberta is like. And I don't want to be cooped up in some house waiting for gas to turn on in the middle of a war. A world war at that, right? Well, the province is fighting with the federal government to shut off the gas. And then find out 3 years down the line that you got to pack up and get rid of everything again. just so that you can go to some little island and have the volcano blow up or a tsunami come and wash you away. And I would never be able to see my son again. So either or, I'm going to be losing another kid. I'm either never going to see Tisha soon enough in the future again, because if she goes to wherever, to St. Vincent, and I don't go, she ain't coming back to visit. No. And I don't know if my son will be capable of dealing with Amari, me, and Andre. Now, mind you, Andre will be bigger. And Tisha's finding out exactly how helpful Andre really is. Because Andre's been with her, right? And she says, wow, he's so good with Amari. I said, I know he is. Right? And he's getting bigger and he's getting stronger. All right? So, it's hard to say. But I don't know. And then if my son goes out, I don't know. I just don't know, people. I'm not going to worry about it right now. My goal is right now, obviously, hopefully this will calm down. I'm being told it takes about a month or so, maybe 2. This looking at bright light is normal, when it's like big, right? Blurriness is somewhat normal, right? My house is very dry, so, you know, that's an issue, but besides that. And, I'll finish up with, I have no regrets with the food prep. Absolutely none, you know, with all this, I'm moving here, I'm moving there, get rid of your crap, do this, do that. I still don't have no regrets with the food prep because, you know, if you keep up with the world politics around the supply chain and what's happening with droughts and just the whole 9 yards, right? And, you know, I have no regrets for that, but I look around at all this other stuff and I'm like, oh, I don't know, Judy, you just got to try and figure out, maybe come winter time, how to start selling off some of this stuff. What, why, for what purpose? Whereas if Shimei was here, I wouldn't be in this dilemma, people. Mark Kane could go his way with his girlfriend. Tisha could go her way with Alex. And Shimei and I would find our way with Amari and Andre. Where me, Amari, and Andre are like blowing around in the wind. We're kind of lost in the wind. Yeah, kind of lost in the wind. Yeah, it's pretty freaking windy. And then if I die between now and the next 5 years, with all this shit I keep pumping into my body, to which I should do now, and I scratch my eyeball when I do this. Could be why my eye is sore too. I don't mean to, but it's hard to do this. Oh, this stuff is not good for me, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to do this now. I don't even know if this thing is recording. It looks like it is, but we know it kicks out, right? Try and get it into the corner of my eye. There we go. So I'm assuming that I have the right drop right now. because the doctor took off the label because it was the wrong label on the wrong bottle and gave me a box where it says yes. Where is it? See? That's what I mean. I feel like I'm on some research study. Well, what happens if we mix them up? She'll never know. But we'll get the statistic. I'm way too suspicious, people. And then to be dreaming about Joan 4 days later, or 2 days, 3 days later, 3 days later, I'm dreaming about Joan, screaming at her because she lobotomized John. Yeah. Looking at a table with a whole bunch of fucking Jones sitting around it. Yep. And then when I have a dream like that, of course I don't want to go live with my son. So where am I going? Can't live with my son. I really can't live with my daughter. The one daughter that I could live with, and should be living with, is dead because she was murdered. As the government tries to cover up that murder. Yeah. Anyway. So, mental therapy. Well, you do what you can in a day. That's all you can do. Alright? Today was a very dark day today. Very slow. I basically worked with herbs. Taking them off their stems. I have a bowl of sage right there with flowers on it. And this is my comfrey. I can't use it yet. No. Because if I use it too soon, and I got wounds on the inside, which I do, and they're not quite healed yet, which I'm sure they're not, this has really strong healing properties that if I put it on too soon, it will start to heal everything on the outside and trap everything on the inside. And if that happens, and it's not, healed on the inside, it can become infected and go gangrenous. Yeah. So you got to be careful with that shit. So I was just rubbing it and just getting it off its stems, and then at some point my nose started to run, and I'm like, oh, okay, so you gave yourself a little dusty dose of it anyway. Right? But at some point I'll probably make myself a tea with it. I'm actually debating about drinking a cup of tea. One. You can drink it. You can't drink it a lot all the time, though, because it can actually attack your liver, right? But 1 cup wouldn't, it would just boost up your immune system. So I'm debating, right? Not right now. But I might drink 1 cup or 2 of that over a few days or whatever. And, I don't know, I'm going to ask this doctor how deep the injury is inside my eye and exactly where is it. It feels like it's up here, right? Like if I actually bump my eye a little bit, it hurts more up in here. And I think my son said he's seen a little bit of red up in there. But I'm curious to know how deep, because it feels deep, right? It feels deeper than the laser surgery. The laser surgery, when it happened, it was deep. It felt like I was being shot with a nail gun. something going in and piercing and then getting stuck. Okay? Which was deep. This one here, there's something going on where it feels it's very deep. When I'm, because I'm moving my eye, right? And it doesn't like that. And then as you move, you come into a different light spectrum. So between the moving and the light spectrum, it just like, it feels like, yeah, it's painful. So, but it's deep. So when I go see the eye doctor, I'm going to ask him, how deep is the wound? And exactly where is the major wound? In terms of when you did what you did, how did you come in and do it? And how deep into the eyeball did you have to go to get to do whatever it was that you freaking did? And I'm going to try and remind myself to ask him to, are you absolutely 100% sure that this lens is actually fitting my eye? He'll say, why? I'll say, well, because the guy that fucking took the measurement picked a fight with me because I didn't want to wear a mask. And then he said he wasn't going to do one particular thing because he didn't need to. And therefore, I've always walked away wondering, well, did he get enough info to get the right size? I'm just saying, people. And he can't say I'm being unreasonable when he himself was the one that noticed that the labels on those bottles were backwards. Yeah. Backwards my ass. Anyway, you can't, I got other fish to fry. I have to follow up with that appeal. I'm actually thinking this lawyer to pay her just to get what Rhea... I did it out first, then Rhea came, we did the live, and she, I guess you could say, edited it for the appeal from Judge Ross's decision. But I have to put them in 3 little binders, like binders, right? With that black curly crap on it. And I have to do yellow and I have to do green. But I don't know what to do. So I'm actually thinking, I'm not going to bother this lawyer yet, right? But I think I got until September to do this with the Supreme Court, with the Court of Appeals. And I'll see if I'll ask her how much would she charge me just to take 19 pieces of paper, put them in that curly crap with the right paperwork so that I can go to the courthouse and fucking submit it. And then I guess I'll do a funky MS team where they're going to expect me to put on headphones by myself. Just like Sonia 2 did, representing the Attorney General's office, right? And the Public Safety Solicitor Attorney General's office. As they do their little fucking, I don't know what. And then they'll dismiss it. But at least I can say I tried. Yeah. And then, if my eyesight ever gets functional, where I had it like from before this eye surgery, because at least I could read, at least I could photocopy and do what I needed to do for the lawyer. But if this shit stays like this, people, I'm not going to be able to do shit. My days are over when it comes to this crap. Right? But if I can get back to where I was before I had this, and they throw it out of the Court of Appeals, because I got 3 assholes sitting there now instead of 1. There is no statute of limitation on murder. Okay? And I'll just file another lawsuit. And wherever I go, Uncle John's coming with me. And I said that. Because I can prove that Shemay was embalmed on that hospital bed. And the government has absolutely no right to cover that up, any more than they have a right to cover up murder, just so they can secure their next generations of slums. So they can make profit off of it. Yeah. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens now.